Welcome, dear listeners, to English Stories, where emotions breathe through words and every tale teaches you the beauty of English while touching your heart. Today's story will pull you into a world of fear, suspense, and unexpected love. So listen carefully, because what you are about to hear may stay with you long after the last word. This is the story of Emily, a 23-year-old simple girl from Toronto, Canada, who was kind, innocent, and always ready to help others. But her life changed forever on the day she saw a secret that was worse than death itself. And from that moment she was no longer safe. She had to run, she had to hide. Yet destiny took her in a direction she never imagined. Emily was on her way home after working late in a small cafe. When she passed by an old building near the harbor, she heard voices, loud and angry, and when she looked by mistake, her eyes saw something she should never have seen. A group of dangerous men were making a deal involving drugs and weapons, and one of them noticed her standing in the dark. She froze, her heart beating fast, knowing that if they caught her life would end right there. In panic, Emily ran without looking back, her tears mixing with the cold wind. And she found herself near a container yard where shipping boxes were waiting to be sent overseas. Trying to hide, she stepped into one of the big wooden boxes, not knowing it was already packed and ready to leave. And before she could think, the box was sealed and lifted, and soon she was trapped inside, her body shaking, her breath shallow, until everything went silent except the sound of her fear. Hours passed, then days, and when the box was finally opened, Emily blinked in the bright Italian sun, realizing she was no longer in Canada, but in Italy, and not just anywhere, but right in front of the most feared man in Europe. Alexander Antoine, the Mafia don whose name was enough to make the strongest men tremble. Tall, sharp-eyed, and cold as ice, Alexander looked at Emily with surprise and anger, demanding to know who she was and why she appeared in his shipment. Emily tried to explain in her broken voice, saying she was just a girl from Toronto who had made a mistake. But Alexander did not believe her, for in his world, no one arrived by accident. For days, Emily was kept under watch in his large villa outside Naples, where guards surrounded her, and fear became her only companion. Every night she prayed to escape, yet every morning she woke up to Alexander's sharp eyes studying her, as if he was trying to read her soul. At first, he wanted to kill her, because no stranger should see the secrets of the Mafia, but something in Emily's pure and innocent face stopped him. She was different from the women he had known. She was not greedy, not afraid to speak softly, and not pretending to be strong. Slowly, anger turned into curiosity, and curiosity into a strange desire to protect her, though Emily herself felt only fear, because she knew this man controlled life and death with a single command. Still, as days passed, she noticed that Alexander never touched her in a cruel way. He gave her food, allowed her to walk in the garden, and sometimes even asked about her life in Canada, about her family, about her dreams. Emily told him she once dreamed of becoming a teacher, but life had been hard, and she had to work in small jobs to survive, yet she always believed in kindness. Alexander listened silently, and for the first time in years, he felt a small warmth inside his dark heart. But danger was never far away, for his men warned him that keeping Emily was a mistake, that one day she could betray him, and his enemies were already watching. Emily, too, knew she was living on borrowed time. for every shadow in the mansion reminded her that she was a prisoner. Yet deep in her heart, a confusing feeling began to grow, because when Alexander saved her from one of his drunk men who tried to harm her, she saw in his eyes not just power but also pain, a man who had lost something long ago. One evening, as the sky burned with Italian sunset, Alexander told Emily that in his world there was no way back, and if she wanted to live, she must either accept his protection or try to run and face certain death. Tears fell from her eyes as she whispered that all she wanted was to go home, to return to Toronto, to live a normal life. But Alexander only looked at her in silence, knowing he could never let her go easily. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's heart fought between fear and strange attachment, because the same man who could end her life also kept her alive. She often wondered, was this love or just survival? She did not know. But she did know one thing. Her story was no longer hers alone, for destiny had tied her to the Mafia Don of Italy. And so, dear listeners, we leave Emily standing by the window of that villa, her eyes full of questions, her heart trembling with emotions she cannot name, while Alexander stands in the shadows, torn between his world of blood and the innocent girl who entered his life by mistake. Will Emily ever escape? Will Alexander ever free her? Or will their story turn into something darker, something deeper, perhaps even love? Only time will tell. Thank you for listening to this story on English Stories. Remember, every word you hear makes your English stronger and your heart softer. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to come back for more stories full of emotion, suspense, and love, because here stories are not just words, they are windows to another world.